You killed Miraak. Felt good, didn't it? The first Dragonborn, the legendary traitor, the man who defied a god, and you put him down. Walked out of Apocrypha with new powers, new shouts, a completed quest log. Victory. Except for those 6 words Hermaeus Mora spoke as Miraak's body dissolved into nothing. 6 words that should have made your blood freeze. And now you are my champion. Not a question, not a request, not even a bargain. A statement, a claim, a receipt. Tonight, I'm going to show you something that Bethesda buried in the lore. Something that transforms the Dragonborn DLC from a triumphant expansion into the darkest ending in Elder Scrolls history. You didn't defeat Hermaeus Mora. You applied for a job, and you got it. Let me take you back to the beginning. Miraak, the first Dragonborn. Born in the Merethic era, thousands of years before your character ever opened their eyes on that cart to Helgen. He was a dragon priest, one of the most powerful mortals to ever live. The dragons themselves feared him, not because he could kill them, but because he could dominate them. And like you, he attracted the attention of something ancient. Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of knowledge, of fate, of the inevitable. Most players know Mora as the creepy tentacle thing from the Black Books. Unsettling, sure, but he gives you cool powers, teaches you new shouts, seems almost helpful. That's the trap. Because Hermaeus Mora doesn't collect books, he collects people. Let's talk about what a Daedric Prince actually is. They're not gods in the traditional sense. They don't create. They don't nurture. They're more like fundamental forces with personalities, concepts given form. Mehrunes Dagon is destruction. Molag Bal is domination. Sheogorath is madness. And Hermaeus Mora? He's inevitability. Think about that word. Really think about it. Not knowledge. Not secrets. Inevitability. His realm, Apocrypha, contains all knowledge that ever was or ever will be. Past, present, future. Which means Hermaeus Mora already knows how your story ends. He knew before you were born. Before your parents were born, before the dragons returned, before the empire fell. He's not watching your story unfold. He's already read the last page. Now, Miraak. The first Dragonborn made a deal with Mora sometime in the Merethic era. The exact terms are lost to history, but the result was clear. Miraak gained power beyond any mortal. He could read the Black Books without going mad. He could bend reality with forbidden knowledge. And in exchange, his soul belonged to Mora, forever. When Miraak finally betrayed the dragons and was about to be killed by Valak the jailer, Hermaeus Mora pulled him into Apocrypha, saved him, kept him, for 4,000 years. Let that number sink in. 4,000 years. That's not a lifespan. That's a geological epic. Civilizations rose and fell. The Dwemer vanished. The Septim Dynasty began and ended. The Oblivion Crisis happened. The Red Year destroyed Morrowind. And through all of it, Miraak sat in Apocrypha, waiting, plotting, going slowly, inevitably, insane. But wait, you might say. Miraak was trying to escape. He almost succeeded. That means Mora can be defied. Does it? Let's look at what actually happened in the Dragonborn DLC. Miraak begins influencing Solstheim. His cultists attack you. You investigate. You find the Black Books. you enter Apocrypha, and there, Hermaeus Mora helps you. He gives you new powers, new shouts, the bend will shout that lets you tame dragons. He guides you through his realm, protects you from its dangers, teaches you secrets that took Miraak centuries to learn. Why? Why would Mora help you defeat his own champion? The answer is horrifying in its simplicity. He wasn't helping you defeat Miraak. He was upgrading. Mora is a collector, but not of objects, of souls, of unique, irreplaceable, powerful souls. And the Dragonborn soul is the most valuable prize in existence. Think about what you are. You carry a fragment of Akatosh himself, the dragon blood, the ability to absorb dragon souls, the power to speak the Thu'um without training. You are, quite literally, a piece of a god walking around in mortal flesh. Miraak had this too, but Miraak was old, bitter, broken by 4 millennia of imprisonment. His soul, while powerful, was damaged goods. Then you showed up, fresh, powerful, malleable. And Mora saw an opportunity. Here's what I need you to understand about Hermaeus Mora's realm. Apocrypha isn't just a library. It's a stomach. Everything that enters eventually becomes part of it. The Seekers, those floating tentacled creatures, former scholars who sought forbidden knowledge. The Lurkers, those massive amphibian monsters, previous champions who outlived their usefulness. The realm digests you, slowly, over centuries. Miraak knew this. That's why he was trying to escape. Not because he wanted power in Tamriel. He already had more power than any mortal could use. He wanted out. Out of the endless stacks of books that whisper your failures. Out of the black waters that show your deepest fears. Out of the grasping tentacles that remind you, constantly, that you are owned. Miraak was willing to burn Solstheim and everyone on it for a chance, just a chance, to escape. That's how desperate he was. That's what 4,000 years in Apocrypha does to you. And now, that's your future. But I left Apocrypha, you protest. I walked out. I'm free. Are you? Let me ask you something. When you read the Black Books, where did your consciousness go? Into Apocrypha. Into Mora's realm. Into his domain, where his will is absolute and reality bends to his whims. And you did this multiple times. Each time you went deeper. Each time you accepted more of his gifts. Each time you became more entangled in his web. The bend will shout. Think about what that means. You can bend the will of dragons, of people, of reality itself. Where do you think that power came from? Mora gave you a piece of himself, his essence, his inevitability. It's inside you now, growing, spreading. Every time you use those powers, the connection strengthens. There's a book in Apocrypha. You've probably walked past it a dozen times. It's called The Hidden Twilight. Most players ignore it. Background lore, flavor text. But there's a passage that should make you pause. It describes how Mora's champions always believe they're using him. They think they're clever enough, strong enough, unique enough to take his gifts and walk away. They're always wrong. Because Mora doesn't need to chain you. He doesn't need to force you. He just needs to wait. Eventually, you'll die. Your mortal body will fail. And your soul, that precious, dragon-touched, God-fragment soul, will go somewhere. Sovngarde? Aetherius? The Void? No. You belong to Hermaeus Mora now. He has a claim on you, written in the transactions of 12 black books, sealed in the death of Miraak, whose power flowed into you along with Mora's gratitude. His gratitude. The most terrible words a Daedric prince can speak.
Let me tell you about the other champions. Mora has had many. Throughout history, brilliant mortals who sought forbidden knowledge. Mages, scholars, rulers, each one believed they were special. Where are they now? Absorbed, digested, transformed. Some became seekers, their physical forms twisted, their minds reduced to single-minded servants. They float through Apocrypha eternally, guarding knowledge they can no longer comprehend. Others became worse. The lurkers are said to be champions who tried to fight, who resisted, who held on to their sense of self for centuries before finally breaking. Their punishment was to keep their awareness, to know what they had become, to remember what they had lost. And some, the very few who pleased Mora most, were given the honor of true immortality. Preserved in the stacks, conscious but immobile, forced to read the same books forever, learning, always learning, never allowed to stop. Miraak avoided all of these fates. For 4,000 years, he maintained his sense of self. He plotted, he schemed, he built a pocket dimension within Apocrypha where Mora's influence was weaker. And it almost worked. He almost escaped. Then you showed up, and Mora used you to eliminate him. Not because Miraak was a threat. What's one escaped soul to an infinite realm? But because Mora was bored with him. 4,000 years is a long time, even for a god. Miraak's tricks had become predictable. His defiance had become tedious. His soul, while still valuable, had lost its luster. You were new, exciting, interesting. So Mora orchestrated everything. The cultist attacks, the black books, the confrontations. He manipulated you into destroying his old toy so he could play with a new one. You. There's one more thing. At the end of the Dragonborn DLC, when Miraak dies, something happens that most players miss. His souls, the dragon souls he'd been absorbing for millennia, flow into you. But they're not the only thing that transfers. Watch the scene again. Really watch it. When Miraak dissolves, there's a moment, just a fraction of a second, where something else flows between you. Something dark. Something that isn't souls or power. It's Mora's mark. The claim he placed on Miraak all those centuries ago. The metaphysical contract. The chain. It didn't disappear when Miraak died. It transferred to you. And Mora tells you this. Right there, in the final cutscene, he says it out loud. Miraak harbored fantasies of independence. But you will serve me well. Serve. Not ally with. Not work alongside. Serve. He's not asking. He's not offering. He's informing you of your new status. And your character? They just stand there. They don't argue. They don't resist. They don't even seem to notice that they've just been claimed like property. Then they walk out of Apocrypha, thinking they won. But here's the thing about inevitability. It doesn't hurry. Mora isn't going to drag you into Apocrypha tomorrow. He's not going to force you to serve immediately. He has eternity. He can wait until you've had your adventures, until you've saved the world, until you've loved, lost, aged, and finally died. And when that last breath leaves your body, he'll be there, waiting, with endless stacks of books and endless tentacles and an endless appetite for unique souls. Welcome home, he'll say. And you'll have forever to learn what that really means. Let's talk about what Apocrypha actually is. Not what it looks like. You've seen that. The endless towers of books, the black seas, the sickly green sky. You've fought through it, collected your rewards, moved on. But what is it? In the metaphysics of the Elder Scrolls universe, each Daedric prince's realm is an extension of themselves. Not a kingdom they rule, not a dimension they control, an extension of themselves. Molag Bal's Cold Harbor is Molag Bal, a physical manifestation of domination and cruelty given form. Mehrunes Dagon's Deadlands are Mehrunes Dagon, destruction made tangible. And Apocrypha? Apocrypha is Hermaeus Mora's mind. When you walk through those stacks, you're walking through his thoughts. When you swim through those black waters, you're swimming through his memories. When you read those books, you're accessing fragments of his consciousness. You weren't visiting a realm, you were inside him. Think about the implications. Every black book you read, a synapse firing. A neural pathway opening between your mind and his. Every power he granted you, a piece of his essence embedded in your soul. Every secret you learned, knowledge that was already part of him, now part of you too. The boundary between you and Hermaeus Mora isn't a wall, it's a membrane, and it gets thinner every time you use his gifts. There's a reason Mora is called the gardener of men. Not ruler, not master, gardener. Gardeners plant seeds. They nurture growth. They cultivate. And eventually, they harvest. You are his latest crop, planted with the seed of dragon blood, nurtured with forbidden knowledge, cultivated through carefully orchestrated challenges. The cultists who attacked you? Fertilizer. They drove you toward the black books. Miraak's corruption of the stones? Pruning. It forced you deeper into Apocrypha. The final confrontation? Harvest time. And what did Mora harvest? Miraak's soul, your loyalty, and most importantly, your potential, because you're not done growing yet. Let me tell you about the Augma Infinium. You've probably used it. Most players do. It's one of the most powerful items in Skyrim. A book that grants massive skill boosts the moment you read it. Free power, no strings attached. Except, the Augma Infinium was written by Xerxes, the scribe of Ariel. It contains forbidden knowledge about the nature of reality itself. And somehow, it ended up in Hermaeus Mora's possession. How? Xerxes gave it to him. Willingly. The greatest scribe in existence, servant of the chief deity of the elves, looked at Hermaeus Mora and decided that this being deserved his life's work. Why would he do that? Because Mora doesn't take, he offers. He offers knowledge. He offers power. He offers answers to questions that burn in your soul. And the price? You don't find out until it's too late. The Augma Infinium doesn't just give you skills, it gives you perspective. Specifically, Hermaeus Mora's perspective. When you read it, you gain understanding of the world, of yourself, of the hidden connections between all things. But that understanding? It's filtered through Mora, colored by his perception, shaped by his desires. You didn't learn skills. You learned to see the world the way he sees it. And once you see through his eyes, even for a moment, you can never fully see through your own again. Here's something most players never consider. The Dragonborn absorbs dragon souls. It's your signature ability. Kill a dragon, absorb its soul, use that energy to unlock shouts. Simple, right? But what is a dragon soul? Dragons are fragments of Akatosh, pieces of the god of time given form and consciousness. When you absorb a dragon soul, you're absorbing a piece of divinity. Each soul makes you more powerful, but it also makes you less mortal. By the end of Skyrim's main quest, you've absorbed dozens of dragon souls, maybe hundreds. You're not really human anymore. You're a patchwork, a mosaic, pieces of a god stitched together with mortal flesh. And that's what Hermaeus Mora wants. See, mortal souls are common. Even powerful mortal souls are relatively easy to acquire. A few centuries of manipulation and any Daedric prince can collect thousands. But dragon souls? Those are rare. Those are precious. Dragons were created at the beginning of time. Each one contains knowledge and experiences stretching back to the dawn of the world. Memories of the first moments. Understanding of how reality was assembled. When you killed Alduin, you absorbed the soul of the firstborn of Akatosh, the oldest dragon, the World Eater, the being who was present when time began. That knowledge is inside you now, and Mora wants it. This is why you're different from Miraak. Miraak was powerful, yes. He had millennia of experience. He had absorbed hundreds of dragon souls. But he never killed Alduin. He never absorbed the World Eater. He never carried the memories of the moment time started. You did. You are, quite possibly, the most valuable soul in existence. A mortal foundation layered with dragon souls, layered with the essence of the World Eater himself. When Hermaeus Mora called you his champion, he wasn't being grandiose. He was stating a fact. You are the crown jewel of his collection, and he has plans for you. Let's talk about those plans. In the lore, there are hints, scattered through books, dialogue, environmental storytelling, about what Mora actually wants. He's not content with knowledge. He wants all knowledge. Every secret ever hidden, every thought ever conceived, every possibility ever imagined. But here's the problem. Some knowledge only exists in specific forms. Some truths can only be understood through experience. Some secrets are locked inside unique beings who will never willingly share them. Dragons, for instance. Dragons don't just know things. They are things. Their very existence is a form of knowledge, living libraries of time and power and divine perspective. When you absorbed dragon souls, you didn't just gain power. You became a repartment. A living archive of draconic knowledge, walking around in a form that Mora can eventually claim. There's a theory among lore scholars. Some believe that Hermaeus Mora's ultimate goal isn't just collection, it's understanding. Specifically, understanding how to become something more than a Daedric prince. The Daedra are limited. They're powerful, yes, but they're also static. They can't truly create. They can't truly change. They're locked into their spheres, their natures, their eternal patterns. But Akatosh can create. Akatosh can change. Akatosh is something more. And you Dragonborn, carry pieces of Akatosh inside you. What if Mora's real goal is to study those pieces, to understand them, to learn how a Daedric prince might become something greater? What if you are the key to his apotheosis? Read that again. Mora doesn't want to use you. He wants to study you for eternity, peeling back layer after layer of your being, examining every dragon soul you carry, analyzing every fragment of divine essence. You won't be a servant in Apocrypha. You'll be a specimen. And the worst part? He won't destroy you. Destruction ends the experiment.
Destruction wastes the resource. No. Mora will keep you conscious, keep you aware, keep you feeling. Because the soul responds differently under different conditions. Knowledge reveals itself through stress, through hope, through despair. He'll give you hope sometimes, let you think you might escape, let you build plans, forge alliances, find loopholes. Then he'll take it away. Watch how you respond. Take notes. Try again. Forever. Some players argue that the Dragonborn is too powerful to be contained. After all, you killed Alduin. You defeated Miraak. You've proven yourself stronger than beings who lived for millennia. But strength isn't the issue. Location is. When you die, and you will die eventually, your soul has to go somewhere. And souls don't get to choose their destination. They go where they're claimed. The Daedric princes have spent eternities perfecting their claims. Contracts, bargains, marks, blessings. All different forms of the same thing. Ownership. And you? You accepted Mora's gifts. You learned his secrets. You killed his previous champion and absorbed the mark that bound Miraak to Apocrypha. You are claimed. When your body fails, your soul will be pulled to Apocrypha with the same certainty that a dropped stone falls to the ground. It's not a punishment, it's physics. Let's talk about Sovngarde. Every Dragonborn theoretically has a place there. As a dragon-souled warrior who died in glory, you should qualify for the Nordic afterlife. Alduin was eating souls in Sovngarde. You stopped him. You saved that realm. Surely Shore would welcome you. Surely the heroes of old would sing your praises. Surely you've earned your place among the honored dead. Here's the problem. Daedric claims supersede divine ones. This is established in the lore. When a mortal soul is claimed by a Daedric prince, even the Aedra can't intervene. The Daedra and Aedra made agreements at the beginning of time. Terrible, binding agreements about the nature of souls and claims and ownership. Mora's mark is on you. Shore cannot take you, even if he wanted to. But wait, what about the other Daedric princes? If you've played Skyrim thoroughly, you've probably worked for several of them. Nocturnal, Meridia, Sanguine, Sheogorath. Each of them might have claims on you too. Wouldn't that create a conflict? A war for your soul? Yes. And that war has a predetermined winner, because Hermaeus Mora knows all possible futures. He knew, before you were born, which Daedric princes you would interact with. He knew which quests you would complete, which artifacts you would claim, which bargains you would make. And he planned accordingly. Every deal you made with another prince, Mora already knew about it, already factored it in, already prepared counters. You can't out-scheme someone who has already read the ending. There's a moment in Apocrypha. You probably missed it. Most players do. When you first enter Mora's realm through a black book, there's a whisper. It's quiet, almost subliminal, buried under the ambient sound design. If you isolate it, if you amplify it, if you listen very carefully, it's your name. Not your character's name, your name. The one you typed into the creation screen. Mora knows it. He's been waiting for you. This is where the horror becomes personal. Every choice you made in Skyrim, Mora saw it coming. Every random encounter that pushed you toward the black books, orchestrated. Every moment where you felt clever for finding a secret, he left it for you. You weren't playing Skyrim. Skyrim was playing you. And the prize? The grand reward for completing Hermaeus Mora's game? An eternity as his favorite specimen. Congratulations. Some players try to avoid this fate. They never touch the black books. They never complete Dragonborn DLC. They leave Miraak alone. It doesn't work. Remember, Mora is the Prince of Inevitability. He doesn't need you to read the black books. He doesn't need you to visit Apocrypha. He doesn't need you to do anything. He just needs you to have a soul. And eventually,
that soul will need somewhere to go. When you die, truly die, with no more save files to reload and no more continues to spend, your soul will cast about for a destination. And in that moment, in that confusion, in that vulnerability, a tentacle will reach out from the darkness, and a voice will whisper, "I've been expecting you." This is the true horror of Hermaeus Mora. He doesn't chase. He doesn't threaten. He doesn't demand. He simply waits, patient as time itself, certain as death, inevitable as the turning of pages in an infinite library. Let me tell you about Septimus Cygnus. You've met him, the crazy hermit living in an ice cave north of Winterhold, the one obsessed with the Dwemer lockbox, the one who gave you the quest for the Agma Infinium. Most players remember him as a footnote, a quest giver, a means to an end. But Septimus is something far more important. He's a warning. Septimus was once a brilliant scholar, a member of the College of Winterhold, one of the greatest minds in Tamriel, dedicated to unlocking the secrets of the Dwemer. Then he found a black book. We don't know which one, we don't know when, but at some point, Septimus Cygnus read forbidden knowledge from Hermaeus Mora's realm, and it broke him. Not immediately. That's not how Mora works. Slowly, gradually, inevitably. The knowledge crept into his thoughts, colored his dreams, whispered in the quiet moments between waking and sleep. It told him about the Dwemer lockbox, about the heart of Lorkhan, about secrets so profound that knowing them would change everything. Septimus believed he was on the verge of the greatest discovery in history. He was actually on the verge of nothing. Watch what happens when you complete his quest. Septimus opens the lockbox. Inside he finds the Agma Infinium, a book, just a book, and Hermaeus Mora appears. "You have served me well, Septimus. Your usefulness is ended." Then Septimus dissolves, crumbles to ash, ceases to exist. No afterlife, no soul journey, no continuation, just nothing. Mora consumed him. Here's what most players miss. Septimus spent years in that ice cave, years of his life devoted to a single goal, years of madness and isolation and desperate hope. All for Mora. All to retrieve a book that Mora could have retrieved himself at any time. But that wasn't the point. The point was the journey, the dedication, the slow transformation of a brilliant scholar into a broken puppet. Mora didn't need Septimus to get the Agma Infinium. Mora needed Septimus to become something. A lesson, a demonstration, a preview for you. Think about it. When you meet Septimus, Mora is already watching. He speaks through Septimus, guides you through Septimus, uses Septimus as a puppet to deliver instructions. And when you return with the Agma Infinium, what happens? Mora discards Septimus and claims you as his new emissary. You witnessed a transfer of ownership. Septimus was the old model. You are the upgrade. And one day, centuries from now, millennia from now, you will be discarded too. When a newer, shinier soul catches Mora's attention. When your usefulness is ended. But here's the thing about Septimus. He was just a mortal. A brilliant mortal, yes, but mortal nonetheless. No dragon blood. No divine fragments. No absorbed souls of ancient beings. Mora spent years on him anyway. What do you think he has planned for you? Let's talk about the nature of time in Apocrypha. Time in the mortal realm is linear. Past, present, future. A straight line from birth to death.
Time in Oblivion is different. Each Daedric realm operates on its own temporal logic. In Sheogorath's Shivering Isles, time can loop and spiral. In Meridia's Colored Rooms, time barely exists at all. And in Apocrypha, time is a dimension, not a line, a space, a place you can move through like walking through a room. This is why Mora knows all futures. He's not predicting them, he's standing in them. When Miraak was trapped in Apocrypha for 4,000 years, he experienced every moment. 4,000 years of consciousness, of awareness, of existing. But from Mora's perspective, he could visit any point in Miraak's imprisonment at will. The first day, the last day, the moment of greatest despair, the moment of highest hope, all simultaneously accessible, all eternally present. When you enter Apocrypha, you're not entering a realm. You're entering a moment that never ends.
Consider what this means for your future imprisonment.
It won't feel like imprisonment, not at first. You'll enter Apocrypha thinking you can leave, thinking death was a transition, not an ending, thinking your power, your dragon souls, your divine fragments will protect you. And then you'll realize that time isn't passing. A second will stretch into an hour into a year into a century. Not because time is moving slowly, because time isn't moving at all. You'll be frozen in a single eternal moment, conscious, aware, unable to change or grow or escape. And Mora will visit you whenever he wishes, to study, to question, to extract. This is what happened to the ideal masters in the Soul Cairn. You've been there. You remember. That realm of endless gray and suffering souls. The ideal masters were once mortal mages, powerful ones. They sought to transcend death through soul magic. They succeeded, and they've regretted it ever since. Now they exist as something between living and dead, immortal but not alive, conscious but not growing, eternal but frozen. They collect souls because souls are the only thing that makes them feel anything anymore, the only stimulation in their endless existence. This is the trap of Daedric immortality. You don't live forever. You exist forever. There's a difference. Hermaeus Mora is older than the ideal masters, older than most Daedric princes. He was ancient when the world was young, and in all that time, all those countless eons, he has never stopped being hungry. Hungry for knowledge, hungry for secrets, hungry for unique souls that might contain something new, something he hasn't seen in 1 billion years of existence, something interesting. You are interesting. Do you understand how rare that is? To an eternal being who has witnessed everything that ever happened, who knows everything that ever will happen, who has consumed countless souls and civilizations and worlds, novelty is the rarest treasure.
And you, the Dragonborn, the Soul Eater, the mortal who carries fragments of a god, you are novel. You're a new flavor. Mora intends to savor you for a very, very long time. Let me tell you about Miraak's last moments. Not the ones you saw, the ones before. The books scattered throughout Solstheim contain fragments of Miraak's writings, his thoughts during 4 millennia of imprisonment, his slow descent into understanding. In the early centuries, he raged, plotted escape, tested the boundaries of his prison. In the middle millennia, he studied, learned Mora's patterns, sought weaknesses. In the final centuries, he simply waited, not for escape anymore, for a replacement. He knew someone would come. Mora had told him, shown him, revealed the future that included his death at the hands of another Dragonborn. Miraak knew he was going to lose. He fought anyway, because even losing, even dying, even being absorbed was better than continuing to exist in Apocrypha. Think about that. A being of immense power, with 4,000 years of accumulated knowledge, with the strength to dominate dragons and bend reality itself, he chose death. He chose to be absorbed by you, knowing his consciousness would end, knowing his identity would dissolve, knowing everything that made him Miraak would cease to exist, because that was preferable to more time in Mora's realm. What does that tell you about what awaits you? There's a final piece of the puzzle, something hidden in the deepest lore, something that makes everything worse. Hermaeus Mora is not the only entity in Apocrypha. The realm is vast, infinite perhaps, and in its darkest corners, in the spaces between the stacks of books, there are others. They have no names. They might not even be conscious in any way we'd recognize, but they're there, watching, waiting, feeding on the scraps Mora leaves behind. When a soul is fully consumed, when Mora has extracted every secret, experienced every memory, understood every fragment, the husk goes to them. We don't know what they do with it. We don't want to know. Septimus Cygnus dissolved into ash. His consciousness ended. His identity ceased. His soul was consumed. And then something else happened. Something Mora doesn't talk about. Something even the black books don't describe. Because there are secrets that Mora keeps even from himself. Secrets so terrible that knowing them might damage even a Daedric prince. And the remnants of consumed souls? They know those secrets now. This is the hierarchy of suffering in Apocrypha. At the top, Mora himself, eternal, omniscient, hungry. Below him, his champions, preserved in consciousness, studied endlessly, maintained as specimens. Below them, the seekers and lurkers, former scholars and warriors twisted into servants, still aware enough to suffer. Below them, the consumed, the Septimuses, the countless mortals who served their purpose and were discarded. And below them, something else. Something that used to be the consumed. Something that isn't anything anymore. When your usefulness ends, and it will eventually, even a Dragonborn can only provide so much novelty, you'll begin to descend. Champion to specimen. Specimen to servant. Servant to consumed. Consumed to whatever comes after. It might take 1,000,000 years. Mora is patient. But here's the cruelest part. You'll know. Throughout every stage of your descent, you'll understand exactly what's happening. You'll remember being the Dragonborn. Remember saving the world. Remember thinking you were a hero. And you'll watch, helplessly, as everything that made you you is slowly stripped away. Layer by layer, memory by memory. Until the only thing left is the knowledge that you used to be something more. And even that, eventually, will be taken. This is the true nature of Hermaeus Mora's realm. Not a library, not a prison, a digestive system. And you, Dragonborn, hero, champion, are already inside it, already being broken down, already becoming something that Mora will, one day, absorb completely. The black books you read weren't gifts, they were teeth, and they're still chewing Now, take a breath. Let the weight of everything we've discussed settle for a moment. I've shown you the darkness, the trap, the endless hunger of a being beyond mortal comprehension. But I haven't shown you the whole picture, because even in the deepest night, there are stars. Even in Apocrypha, there are cracks in the walls. And even for you, Dragonborn, there might be hope. Let me tell you about a concept called Chim. It's one of the deepest metaphysical ideas in Elder Scrolls lore. Most players never encounter it. Those who do rarely understand it. Chim is awakening. It's the realization that the universe is a dream, that reality itself is a story being told, that everything, every person, every place, every moment exists within a grand narrative. Most beings who achieve this understanding cease to exist. They zero-sum. They realize they're not real, and that realization erases them. But a very few achieve Chim and survive. They realize they're part of a dream, and they keep dreaming anyway. They become lucid dreamers within reality itself. Why does this matter? Because Chim represents something Hermaeus Mora cannot account for. Mora knows all knowledge, all facts, all truths. But Chim isn't knowledge. It's transcendence. It's the one thing that exists outside his realm of understanding. The one secret he can never fully possess. Because possessing it would mean becoming it. And becoming it would mean changing. And Daedric princes cannot truly change. There have been mortals who achieved Chim. Tiber Septim, who became Talos, the ninth divine. Vivek, the warrior poet of Morrowind, who rewrote his own history. Perhaps others, lost to time and legend. These beings touched something beyond Daedric reach. They found a door that even Hermaeus Mora cannot open. And you, Dragonborn, you carry pieces of divinity within you. Dragon souls, fragments of Akatosh, the essence of the World Eater himself. If anyone in the current era has the potential for Chime, it's you. This isn't a guarantee. Chime is not a power you can grind for, not a skill tree you can unlock, not a quest reward sitting in a dungeon. It's a philosophical state, a way of being, a fundamental shift in how you perceive existence. Most who attempt it fail. Most who fail cease to exist. But the possibility remains. And possibility is something Mora cannot control. Let me reframe everything I've told you. Yes, Hermaeus Mora has claimed you. Yes, his mark is on your soul. Yes, he waits with infinite patience for the moment of your death. But claims can be broken. Not easily, not often, but it has happened. The champion of Cyrodiil, the hero of Oblivion, was claimed by multiple Daedric princes. And yet, according to some accounts, they found a way out, a path between the paths, a door that shouldn't exist. Some say they mantled Sheogorath, becoming a Daedric prince themselves. Some say they achieved Chime and transcended the game entirely. Some say they're still out there, somewhere, beyond the reach of any prince or god. If they could find a way, maybe you can too. And here's something else to consider. You are not the first Dragonborn to face impossible odds. Miraak tried to escape through force, through conquest, through dominating everything in his path. It didn't work. Force is Mora's game. He's been playing it longer than mortal minds can comprehend. But there are other approaches: acceptance, understanding, transformation. Not fighting the current, but becoming the river. In Eastern philosophy, there's a concept called Wu Wei, effortless action, moving with the flow of existence rather than against it. The greatest masters don't resist obstacles, they incorporate them. They find the spaces between resistance where movement is possible without conflict. Hermaeus Mora is vast, powerful, inevitable. But vast things have vast blind spots. Powerful beings have predictable patterns. And inevitability only works if you're playing the same game. What if you stopped playing? Not in the sense of giving up, not in the sense of surrendering, in the sense of changing the rules entirely. Mora expects you to fight. He's prepared for it. He enjoys it. Mora expects you to scheme. He's seen every scheme that was ever conceived. Mora expects you to despair. Despair is delicious to him. But what if you did something he doesn't expect? What if you found peace? This sounds strange, I know. After everything I've described, the consumption, the eternity of suffering, the hierarchy of horror, peace seems impossible. But consider, what if Mora's power over you depends on your resistance? What if the chains that bind your soul are forged from your own fear? What if the path out of Apocrypha isn't through the walls, but through yourself? The Greybeards understood something important. They had the power of the tomb. They could have conquered the world, bent nations to their will, shaped history with their voice. Instead, they chose silence. Not because they were weak, because they understood that true power doesn't need to be exercised. They sat on their mountain and meditated. They found stillness within the storm. They achieved mastery not through action, but through being. And no Daedric prince has ever claimed a Greybeard's soul. Not one. In 10,000 years of history. What if the answer to Hermaeus Mora isn't fighting him? What if the answer is becoming someone he can't use? A soul at peace needs no forbidden knowledge. A mind at rest doesn't hunger for secrets. A being in harmony with itself has nothing that Mora can offer, and nothing he can take. This is the loophole. Not escape, transformation. Think about what Mora truly wants. He wants you because you're interesting, because you have secrets he hasn't seen, because your dragon soul contains knowledge he hungers for. But what if you gave it away? Not to him, to everyone. What if you used your remaining time in the mortal world to share everything you've learned, to teach others the Thu'um, to pass on the dragon knowledge that makes you valuable? What if, by the time you died, there was nothing unique left in you? Just a peaceful soul, empty of secrets, with nothing Mora needs. Would he still want you then? There's a story, buried deep in the lore. A scholar who served Mora for centuries, read every black book, learned every forbidden truth, became one of his most valued servants. Then one day she began to teach. She took the secrets Mora had given her and spread them across Tamriel, wrote books, trained students, disseminated knowledge that had been hoarded for millennia. Mora was furious, not because she'd betrayed him, betrayal he could understand, but because she'd made herself worthless, a vessel that once contained priceless secrets, now empty, a soul that once burned with forbidden knowledge,
now peaceful and still. He had no use for her anymore. And so, he let her go. I don't know if this story is true. Much of the Elder Scrolls lore exists in a space between fact and legend. The scholars who wrote these accounts had their own biases, their own blindnesses, but the possibility remains. Hermaeus Mora is a collector. Collectors only want things that are valuable. If you can make yourself invaluable, not through weakness, but through generosity, you might find the door that Miraak never saw. Here's what I want you to take from tonight's journey. Yes, the Dragonborn DLC has a dark ending. Yes, Mora's claim on your soul is real. Yes, the lore supports a deeply troubling interpretation of your character's fate. But the Elder Scrolls universe is not deterministic. Dragon breaks shatter time. Mantling transforms identity. Chim rewrites existence. In a world where the rules can change, where gods can be made and unmade, where reality itself is negotiable, nothing is truly inevitable. Not even inevitability itself. So what should you do with this knowledge? First, understand that awareness is power. Mora counts on ignorance. He manipulates those who don't understand the game. By knowing what he is, what he wants, and how he operates, you've already changed the equation. Second, consider your choices. Every black book you read, every Daedric artifact you claim, every bargain you make, these have weight. They have consequences. Make them consciously, not carelessly. Third, remember that you are more than a soul to be collected. You have agency. You have will. You have the capacity to change and grow and become something that no prophecy ever predicted. And finally, find peace with the uncertainty. We don't know what happens after death in the Elder Scrolls universe. Not really. The accounts contradict each other. The gods have their own agendas. The truth is probably stranger than any mortal has imagined. Maybe Mora claims you. Maybe you find a way out. Maybe something entirely unexpected happens. The story isn't written yet. Not even Hermaeus Mora knows the final page. As you drift towards sleep tonight, I want you to hold on to something. You played the Dragonborn. You made choices. You shaped a story. And in that story, in your version of events, you were a hero. You saved the world from Alduin. You stopped Miraak from enslaving Solstheim. You faced gods and monsters and emerged victorious. Whatever comes after, that mattered. You mattered. And no Daedric prince, no matter how vast or ancient or hungry, can take that away from you. The Elder Scrolls are fragments of creation itself. They contain all possible futures, all possible pasts, all possible versions of every story ever told. And in at least one of those stories, the Dragonborn escapes. They find the crack in Apocrypha's walls. They achieve Chim. They transcend the game entirely. In at least one story, you win. Hold on to that. Let it carry you into gentle darkness. Let the dragons in your soul rest. Let the whispers of forbidden knowledge fade to silence. Tomorrow, the sun will rise over Skyrim.
The mountains will stand eternal. The rivers will flow to the sea. The people will go about their lives, never knowing how close they came to destruction, never knowing that someone saved them. Someone with a dragon's soul and a mortal's heart. Someone who, even now, is finding their way through the darkness. Sleep well, Dragonborn. Whatever comes next, you've earned your rest. And if, somewhere in the night, you hear a whisper from the depths of Apocrypha, remember, Hermaeus Mora knows all the secrets of the universe, but he doesn't know yours. Not the ones you haven't discovered yet. Not the person you're still becoming. Not the story that hasn't been written. The stars are watching over Tamriel tonight. Akatosh, the dragon god of time. Arkay, the shepherd of souls. Stendar, the light against darkness. They haven't forgotten you. They're waiting. And when the time comes, they might just surprise everyone, even Hermaeus Mora. Good night, Dragonborn. May your dreams be your own, and may you wake to a world still full of possibilities.